This is a recording of this year's Virtual Residency Fair. We'd like to take the time to thank the programs that volunteered their time to present to this year's applicants. This year's PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair is supported by PM&R Recap and Ultrasound Guidance. PM&R Recap is the leading resource for your physiatry board preparation, clinical preparation, audition rotations, and beyond. PM&R Recap offers 35 hours of review videos, hundreds of review questions, and oral board cases to help you become the best physiatrist that you can be. Head to pmnrrecap.com to learn more. Ultrasound Guidance is the innovative new online ultrasound learning platform that gives you instant access to expert instruction. With rapid scans and complete scans of every joint and peripheral nerve, Ultrasound Guidance is the perfect way to jumpstart your MSK ultrasound learning. Visit ultrasoundguidance.com to learn more.
We're right here. We're ready to rock.
All right. Welcome. And I guess y'all are up.
All right, let me see if we can share the screen here.
And then
Is it happening?
go to it from the beginning. Short.
Cool. Sorry, it's loading.
All right.
Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. Hey guys, we're here from the University of Washington. Oh, hey, Dr. Hoda. Your face just popped up. We're going to try to keep the information on here pretty brief and concise. Almost everything that's in the presentation you can find on our website. So we just want to make sure that y'all have time to ask us questions, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as we can. So we'll start by just introducing our program leadership. So Dr. Julie Hodap is our program director. She is on the Zoom with us tonight. And then we also have two associate program directors, Dr. Kate Delaney and Dr. Chris McMullen. The three of them together are an awesome team. They're like super motivated to make positive changes in the program. They're new to our program leadership since I've been here, and since they've been here, it's been amazing. Karen Ennis is our program administrator, and she literally just, keeps all the pieces together so we don't crumble. She's great. I think she might be on here too. And then this is just an intro of who's here tonight from our program. So I'm Katie Smolinski. I'm one of the chief residents. Brian Cervoni is one of my co-chiefs. He's with us tonight. And then Evelyn Chin is one of the chiefs that's not able to make it tonight. And then we have a resident recruitment and wellness committee as part of our program. And the three members are Jason Monda, who's here. You'll hear from him in a little bit. Sri Gorukanti, who's also here. And then Allison Wallingford, who couldn't make it tonight. So these are just some quick facts, some high points about our program. We are considered one of the larger PM&R programs. We have 30 residents. We have a good mix of DOs and MDs. I think every class has at least one DO. I'm a DO. We have some built-in mentorship opportunities into our residency. I know in the past when I've been on these PM&R Scholar events, people have asked about that. So we have assigned attending mentors that we get matched up with early on in the residency program. And that's sort of based on, your preliminary interests. And then we also have a buddy system where you're paired up with a more senior resident when you come in as either a categorical intern or an R2. And I think people have really liked that to help with the transition into residency. We do our call from home, meaning, we can go home and sleep in our own beds every night when we're on call. And then if something acutely happens that we need to come into the hospital for, we have to be within, I think, about like a 30-minute driving distance to get in. And I think that generally people really like that. We are a hospital-based rehab program, meaning we're not a standalone unit, which I think has a lot of benefits. We have some pretty complex patients that come through, but it's nice to know that all of our medical consulting services are always readily available at all hours of the day and night. And if somebody needs to go back to an acute medical floor, people are always willing to help us out and get them, to wherever they're safest. EMRs, if you care, we are officially all Epic, except for at the VA, where anyone who's worked at the VA probably is familiar with CPRS. Our VA is transitioning to Cerner at some point, probably by the time when you're here, but Epic at the other hospital sites. We do have 20 days of flexible vacation and then 10 professional days. We say flexible vacation because you don't have to take them like in week blocks. You can take a couple here and there. And we don't have too many restrictions really on when you can take those days, which is really nice. And then from a sort of resident, like team building perspective, we try to do our annual retreat to Whistler every year. So Whistler is a big mountain up in British Columbia. We all drive up there usually for President's Day weekend, get a few cabins, we ski, we hang out. And it's always a really fun time. We missed it, I think just 1 year during COVID, but we're back. And the resident wellness recruitment committee is working to get us some more retreats like that. I think we're going surfing in September. So, and then lastly, we do have moonlighting opportunities once you're a little bit more senior in the program, and you just need to get approval from the program director to do that. I think this is still me. So this is just, some top reasons that we would love to see you guys apply to our program. You can kind of read through those, I think, yourself, but basically we have a really wide breadth of training experiences. We'll talk about that a little bit more, I think, in a couple of slides from now, but a lot of different hospitals. We have our academic hospital that's, you get the academic experience. Then we have our community hospital where you get a lot of trauma, work with more of the underserved communities. And then we also spend a good bit of time at our children's hospital. I would say our residency classes are diverse. We have a lot of single people. We have a lot of married people. We have new dads in the program, new pet children. So people from all walks of life, but we still find ways to do stuff together. And I think we have really good camaraderie within our program. The other things, I don't want to spend too much time here. We have a strong alumni network. You'll see UW graduates sort of, all over the country, a lot out here in the West, but certainly back on the East Coast too. And then I'll just say that we're located in Seattle, which is an awesome city. You can get all the things that you like if you are into big urban areas. We have restaurants, we have museums, we have live music, but then we also have the benefit of being in the beautiful Pacific Northwest where you can get all your outdoor fixes, skiing, hiking, camping, rock climbing, kite surfing, everything's out here, which is awesome. All right, I think we'll hand it over to Brian.
Thanks, Katie. So, hey, everybody, my name is Brian. I'm one of the other co-chiefs. So, as Katie mentioned, one of our strengths is definitely the variety of clinical experiences that we have. As far as our inpatient rehabilitation goes, we have Harborview, the inpatient rehab unit there really takes care of a lot of polytrauma patients, which is really unique across the Wyoming region. So we do have a really huge patient referral base or acceptance base, I guess. Harborview is also a stroke center, so we also get a lot of that. As far as the University of Washington, we get more of the medically complex cancer rehabilitation, inpatient stuff there. So that's definitely challenging, but definitely a great learning experience. Now at the VA, we get more of we have two different units. One is a general rehab unit where we do get a really unique setup as far as amputee rehabilitation pathways, your bread and butter strokes, some chronic, medically complex patients also go through here. And then we have a dedicated VA SCI unit where we get acute and chronic SCI inpatient admissions. So that's also a unique aspect to it. So you get both exposures to like immediate acute trauma and more like chronic degenerative stuff, myelopathy rehabilitation. And lastly, as far as inpatient goes, we also have the pediatric inpatient rehab unit here at Seattle Children's, which it's great. You get to see everything across, again, the Wyoming region. And as far as outpatient clinics, we pretty much have everything that PM&R could cover. We have your bread and butter general rehab clinics, stroke follow-ups, TBI, spinal cord injury. We also have ALS clinics, multiple sclerosis clinics. We actually have a dedicated multiple sclerosis clinic in north of the Montlake campus. We also have our sports and musculoskeletal and spine clinics across various sites, including the VA. We do rotate with our pain medicine colleagues who are mostly training under anesthesia. And we do have dedicated amputee rotations, which is pretty unique at the VA. And you get to learn pretty much everything. That's run by Dr. Speckman, who's amazing. And now we're just starting to we just started to have cancer rehabilitation in our outpatient curriculum with Dr. O. She came from New York, so she's been amazing too. And as far as procedures, you get to do procedures pretty much across the various sites, and we get to do all the procedures that we have to do in PM&R. Next slide. Okay, so these are our core training sites. I don't know if you all know, but Grey's Anatomy was filmed here at Harborview, so that's a selling point. But Harborview is amazing and overlooks the harbor, which is why it's called that way, I suppose. But you get essentially exposure to really different settings. You have your level 1 trauma center, who also is like a safety net across the 5 states. You have the VA system, and you have the university system, and then the children's hospital. So I think that in itself is pretty unique. Next slide. Next slide. So as far as the didactics program and the content and structure, so we have didactics twice a week between 7:30 and 9:50 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's not like a huge chunk of 4 hours in the afternoon. This is really in the morning, and if you're in an inpatient rotation, then the attendings cover the pager, and then after you're finished, you go to the rotation site and you complete and you just start your workday. Yeah, if you're outpatient, then the attending sees the patients in the morning, and then you just hop into the clinic without any issues. We cover pretty much every topic in PM&R. And that especially that it comes for the board preparation, and we have different blocks that vary between PGY level. Some of the blocks we do all together, but the level of responsibility, for example, for the neuro rehab course is a little different based on your level of training. We do all do the musculoskeletal block together, and that is not divided into training levels, and that's pretty unique too. And then we get piano, ultrasound. Right now we're doing the ultrasound courses, R4s, and we get to play a lot with really fancy ultrasounds. We have the Samsung Prestige, which is like top of the line. Really too many bells and whistles for me to understand, but hopefully I get there one day. But the R3s also get the dedicated EMG block, and they get hands-on. So it's really, really nice to get that start of the R3 year. So that way you start, off running, knowing what to do in EMG. As far as longitudinal, across the whole year, we have grand rounds, we have general and musculoskeletal grand rounds. We have a QI, didactics or time, which is essentially ran by the resident committee of quality improvement committee. And it's once a month, and we all get together and essentially talk about the quality improvement projects that might be going on and whatnot. And we have various journal clubs throughout the whole year. It varies by topic, and we usually present the journals with support from an attending as backup. Lastly, we do have, as R4s, we get time to go to the board review course that we sponsor, or that UW prepares essentially. It's a whole week long. The time is usually April, May. Really, we don't really have the time set yet, but it's usually around that time frame, and pretty unique that you get to do that 1 week course and kind of start to get ready for the boards. And it's been really good and worked so far over the last several years. So that's been a great course. And then I'll hand it off to Jason.
Thanks, Brian. So Katie kind of already touched on some of the perks of living in Seattle in the Northwest. And I think all the residents have really found something to love about living here. Tend to attract a lot of people that really enjoy outdoor activities, mostly because there's tons of activities to do around here. There are 3 national parks that are within a couple hours, and plenty of other activities to do on the weekend outdoors, in the evening, and then for extended vacations as well. But if you're not into those sorts of things, there's tons of other stuff to do too. Seattle's a great sports city between the Mariners, Seahawks, and we have the Kraken, the NHL team now. And hopefully we'll get basketball back real soon here. Also tons to do if you're into concerts and festivals, and there's breweries and great food on just about every corner in this city. Here are some photos of residents doing some of those activities together. We try as best we can to do things together as often as we can, and I think we're pretty good about that. Where do our residents live? Here's a map of Seattle, and as you can see, we're kind of dotted all over the map. The main training sites tend to be sort of in the middle of the map there, and everywhere is pretty much within a half hour of all the sites. You might notice there's a lot of water on the map as well, which is a sort of a nice perk for especially in the summer when it's really nice out. All right, I'll hand it over to Sri.
All right. So within our program, we definitely have a lot of different leadership opportunities that are available. So as we mentioned, Jason and I are part of the Resident Recruitment and Wellness Committee, where we try to create events for all of us to like hang out, usually once a month or so. And we have big trips that come up. Katie mentioned a few of them. We have an upcoming surfing trip in September. That's a pretty new thing for us. And then our annual Whistler trip and President's Day weekend, which has been ongoing for a very long time. So there's always great opportunities for all of us to like get together and hang out. We have the Resident Quality Improvement Committee, which is more like research focused. And so we try to work on different quality improvement projects to help improve the program as well as our hospital systems. We have the Resident Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, which is kind of ties in a little bit to our diversity groups. For example, we have NERF, which is another group similar along that vein that kind of talks more about like diversity within rehab and what we can do about that. We also have like some support from the national committees that's mentioned here too, which is, you know, the big ones, AAP, PM&R, as well as the ACGME. And some of the volunteering opportunities, we have a lot of different opportunities that are available in Seattle. So the big ones are really the sports coverage we have here. We have a lot of high school collegiate opportunities available, as well as the marathon, the Ironman, and then also the Special Olympics. And then even within the community, we are doing some other ones like Outdoors for All, the Camp Corey, which is working with children who have disabilities, and they go to like a week-long camp that we can also participate in. And we also have Seattle Adaptive Sports available.
This is just a list of some of our amazing faculty. I don't think we need to spend too much time here, but you can just take a peek at that. Some people that you may have just heard their names. Jana Friedley, she's the current editor-in-chief for PM&R. Dr. Esselman's our chair, but yeah, we don't need to spend too much time here. Awesome people at UW. I think this one's you, Bri.
Hello again. So the fellowship, so we pretty much have all the fellowship. We have ACGME accredited fellowship in brain injury, peds rehab, spinal cord injury, sports medicine. Those are kind of usually the big ones. Pain medicine, it's under the anesthesia department, but there is one and it's on the other slide. But the other ones mentioned here are non-ACGME accredited, and there are also just additional training opportunities for those that are interested in those areas in rehabilitation or in medicine in general that are not your classical PM&R mainstream fellowships, like the Q, Quality Improvement and Patient Safety fellowship. The last year we had Dan, who was PM&R graduate from Kessler, and he loved it. That was his thing. He did great. And we do have the multiple sclerosis fellowship. We have one under the PM&R and neurology department. Next slide. And then here's our the pain medicine one that I mentioned, which is PM&R friendly, and then the other fellowships that are not necessarily ACGME accredited, but they train PM&R based residents essentially. There's a dedicated one for research. There's a hospice and palliative care, and then the neuromuscular one. There are other plenty of fellowship opportunities across the Seattle or even Washington state if you're looking for a specific fellowship. But I feel like we pretty much offer all of them. So.
And yeah, as Brian was mentioning, we have a lot of different fellowships available at our program, but as you can see, a lot of our recent graduates have gone to like a wide variety of fellowships that are kind of listed here. They generally range. A lot of people did sports and spine, but some other people did some of the neuro rehab stuff with spinal cord injury. They did neuromuscular fellowship, which was kind of unique at Wake Forest. And really kind of across the board, people are just kind of deciding whatever they want to do, they go for it. And so as you can see here, for the most part, I'd say the majority of people do decide to go into a fellowship, but there's also a good amount of people that decide to go straight into practice as well. And so both routes are supported for whatever you want to do.
Cool. I think we only have a couple minutes left, so sorry that took longer than we thought it would, but here's our information. Screenshot this if you want to reach out to me, Evelyn, Brian, or if you want to get connected with these two, we're happy to help you do that too. Those are our Instagram handles. We're pretty active on social media. Evelyn and Allison Wallingford are great about that. And then there's more information about our GME and our resident and fellow union, which we didn't talk about too much, but you can read about all that online if you have any interest in that. I don't know, let me see if there's any. Brian, are there any questions that we can try and answer with the couple minutes that we have?
Yeah, you could quickly go over projects that residents have accomplished, like quality improvement projects that we've worked on and accomplished stuff.
Do you want to talk about the one that you just presented on recently?
Yeah, sure. So me and a couple former residents that just graduated, we did a QI project based on essentially handoff and interprofessional communication when handing off patients. And it was a little bit confounded because we transitioned into Epic, which made communication a lot easier and effective. But overall, we presented some data that we made some changes and implemented some educational stuff into our curriculum that made handoff a lot better. Right now, even though it's kind of paused because I just had a baby and kind of busy, but there's a resident as teacher educational quality improvement project that we're working on. But there's various projects across the board.
All right, sorry to interrupt here. That is the 20 minutes here. Thank you to the University of Washington